Okay, so if any of you have a small um, propane and oxygen like brazing torch, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of these bottles sitting around. And anyhow, I have a certain project in mind for using one of these empty bottles. But the first thing you need to do is find a way to like drill a hole through the bottle so that you can put water in there and basically just ensure that all the gases are out of it so it doesn't explode when you go to like braze on a new fitting or whatnot. Anyhow, so if you notice, there are two different valve stems, one down here that attaches to the little brazing torch, and then there's a pressure relief valve over here. That's the one that I'm going to try and take out. I tried to stick a pair of needle nose down in there and grab it, and there's not enough room, so I figured it'd be a perfect opportunity to use the lathe and just create a special tool really quick. It's a special tool, but it's nothing special. So essentially I'm just going to use this is a 1/4 bolt, maybe 1.5 inches long. I just chopped the hex head off to make the video a little shorter, but you could use anything you have laying around, probably even a large nail or something. Anyhow, so we're just going to chuck it up in the lathe. This is probably going to be used multiple times, so we'll just face off this side where I hacked it off with a hacksaw. This is a Microlex 7x16 mini lathe, and I'm using the little carbide tools that you can get from Harbor Freight. They do a good job. It's alright. Now we'll use a file. Quickly break that edge. So now we have a nice faced surface on that end. This end is actually going to get turned down in diameter, so really it doesn't matter that there's threads there. If anything, it might help us. But before we can turn that down, we need to, well, we don't need to, but I prefer to drill a hole in the end. Because we need to get around this little pin that's on the pressure relief valve. And that'll be more obvious once I get the valve out of there. Okay, so we'll just give that a couple quick passes with the facing tool. Okay, now we have a center drill. And to do this, I gotta bring it closer because you're attached to my tailstock. Okay, so there we go. Cutting oil. Like I said, you're attached to the tailstock, so it shakes a little bit. That's why I'm zoomed in, because I figured if the camera was directly over the chuck, I might get some oil on it in the lens, and I don't really prefer that. Okay, so if you've never used a center drill before, obviously you only go in about halfway up taper on it. So we'll back out our center drill and we'll put in a drill bit. I honestly don't even know what size this is. I just kind of looked at the valve and eyeballed it. You're going to want enough meat left on the edge of the tool that we're making to grind away and actually grab onto the valve. So you don't want to use anything too big. But again, it is a clearance hole, so. Small bit, so it's important. Bring her out, clear the chips. I haven't had one of these valves off for a while. I'm assuming, again, just by eyeballing it, we'll probably need this hole to be about a ½ inch deep to clear the little pin on that thing. Again, I'm just eyeballing this, but there is a little scale on my tailstock. Take it slow. You don't want to break a bit. I think I said about a ½ inch. Just go a little bit extra, just to be sure. Okay, so now we'll put the drill bit up out of the way. We're going to remove the facing tool. We'll put a cutting tool on to remove the thread. Before we do that, we may want to provide ourselves a little clearance between the chuck and the tool holder. It's not necessary to turn all these threads off, but I think it will give the finished tool a nicer look. So we're going to use the end of the threads just kind of as a natural stop. That way we don't slam into the truck. And we should engage the power feed to make this a little quicker. Give ourselves a nicer finish. The first pass or two is going to be a little rough because you're fighting against those threads. We'll remove all the threads and then do a test fit inside the valve stem. You can tell there's just a little bit of threads left, but we're gonna go ahead and remove it. That hole is maybe a lot larger than we need, so we don't want to turn this down too far. And so we'll just slip it over. See how that provides clearance for that pin inside there? It's similar to like a safety screwdriver. Sorry, I just had to get in alignment with it so I can check it. There's actually this larger shoulder up here, and then I don't know if you can see it, but down in there's a second shoulder, so you gotta make sure we can clear that. It looks like we're good, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn down the rest of the threads just to give the final appearance a little bit nicer look. A little oil. Okay, that should be all we need from the lathe. Just clean off the oil here real quick. Okay, so we got our little tool. Basically, it's just a tube is all we really just made. But now we need to put a notch at the end to create like a register for the valve stem to catch on. I'm going to try and take you over towards the... I'm just going to do this with the Dremel. Be the best, easiest way. This canister is empty, but again, we don't want to blow ourselves up, so set it somewhere away from the sparks that the Dremel might create. Now, I don't know how big this slot needs to be, because again, I'm just eyeballing it. So we will, I know it's probably at least twice as thick as this grinding wheel, so I'll grind it, and then I'll do a test fit, and if we need more, we'll do more. Okay, so that's the shape that we were looking to create. Sorry if it's not totally in focus. What we'll do is we'll check it. Okay, it appears to still be just a little tight, so try and relieve a little bit more the sides of that slot. more than likely there's a tool you can buy to do this, but yeah, I was just thinking about that. But anyhow, so that fits in there tight. That means that we have a little bit of resistance. Now what I would like to do, you could stick this on a drill and just drill that out, but I'm assuming that might be a little bit too strong. These little fin type things that we just created are really thin, and I would hate to break them off. I don't really want to bother like trying to heat treat this or anything stupid like that, so let's use a tap wrench. Now obviously I could stick this in a tap wrench right now, but it'd be nice to have just a little flat. So a little flat will hold in the tap wrench a lot better. Let's see if let me see if I can grab one here. It's disappearing on you, you know. Guess we'll have to use this style. Okay, that's on there. It's nice and tight. Let's give it a try. You can see the threads for this valve stem extending up past the cylinder, so you know that it's probably left-handed, or I mean, it's a regular screw, but turn it to the left to remove it. You can see that it's loosening up. It's almost out of there. Okay, so there is the pressure relief valve. It's got a spring on it. It's like a little poppet here at the bottom, and so essentially if you left this out in the sun or whatever, I don't know, the pressure inside of it gets too great, it lift up on this little plunger and the air would just escape. So the plunger inside of here ought to be the opposite of that, correct? Because when you push down the pin, it releases the gas. I don't know what way I have to turn this to get it out, but we'll give it a shot. Just like tapping, you want to be slow and methodical. If you feel it bind up, probably means you should stop what you're doing. Only have another 30 seconds left on this tape, so this one seems to be getting a little more trouble. If I don't get it out, thanks for watching the video, and at least you know how to get out the pressure relief side of it.